Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to some more Company of Heroes 2. This time we're talking a little bit about the Americans and sort of the downfalls that we had. I talked about their strengths mostly in the last sort of episode that I had, and now we're going over each of the factions' weak points and sort of weaknesses. As you can see, we're playing against the standard Germans here. I'm not going to do a matchup between each of them because the weaknesses sort of manifest no matter who you're up against. So in this particular game, you're going to see the weakness of the Americans is really in their late game. They can do really well early and mid-game, but suffer tremendously in the later game. I'm going to make some mistakes that are going to exacerbate this problem, but there are certain elements to it that are just impossible really to shut down. One of the problems in this particular place is that my opponent over here, going to look at and fail to see because it's not showing it for some reason. Weird, but he's got the elite troops doctrine, which is going to give him access to some pretty interesting things later on, but for now, that's neither here nor there. As you can see, though, moving around the map, trying to capture whatever I can and at whatever rate I can. My opponent has got a couple of units sort of doing the same, but ultimately it's just going to be that same sort of push around, and my opponent is really going to try and secure and lock down the central area to deny me the mobility around there and to deny me that region, of course. And he's also going to start getting some machine guns later on. But for now, I'm going to be doing a pretty decent enough job of doing just a push around the sides and the flanks. That's what I typically tend to prefer. I've got a couple units concentrated around here, which managed to poke at these guys a little bit. But it's going to be a bit of a futile effort, even though I've got good cover, so it shouldn't be quite that bad. It is weird that that's not quite that good. He's concentrated all of his units here, though, so while he's doing that, I'm capturing points around here and around here, so it's not too bad. In any event, though, I've got enough rifle squads that I'm going to be able to push back against these guys here. Yeah, so this is basically just how it's going to be. I'm able to push back with my riflemen, and he's just going to fall back around towards the central area, keep capturing points as he retreats back. And I'm just going to move my units forward. I've taken frag grenades in this particular playthrough because I know he's holding up behind buildings and stuff like that, so they're going to become quite important. This unit gets completely demolished. They're not in open road, so I don't know why they lost quite that badly. But in any event, managed to wipe out that squad, which should have actually helped a lot more than it ends up doing, but he just gets tons and tons of troops. That's all he's doing, is just getting tons and tons of troops. He's not worrying about health or anything, he's not getting a medical center, so he doesn't care if he loses a unit or two. In any event, though, I'm still trying to get this area a little bit locked down and under control. Forced to retreat back here after I've capped, though, so that will take him quite some time. This unit is going to be able to throw their grenade at this machine gun unit, which is going to chase it away a little bit. But they're still going to be hanging around here, so yeah. My opponent's still just hanging around here, doing all the things he's doing. He's going to retreat back those machine guns. I'm going to be able to wipe it out. I should have grabbed it, actually, but, you know, didn't get the chance to do that. And this unit gets pegged by grenades. So he brings in yet another freaking unit. I don't know how he's got enough manpower to have this many units on the field. Captain just took the especially when he's been getting squads wiped, so it's kind of questionable, actually. But in any event, though, I'm still getting more riflemen. I've got my captain on the ground, which is going to be good with his bazooka. I should really have picked up this machine gun, because a lack of an early game machine gun is one of the reasons why the Americans tend to take ground but then lose it right away. And here my opponent has laid a minefield, and I'm not going to notice this at all here because I'm doing something else. So I do actually somehow slip around that with those guys, but that's somewhat besides the point. Over here, these guys not the best against this type of infantry, so I'm going to take some fire. Also, he's firing at me with a mortar, so this unit actually gets completely wiped out, which is kind of bullshit, because they go from, like, fine to, like, 1, and then he immediately dies. So there's no chance really to retreat them there. Like, that was just bullshit. But either way, once again, throwing grenades into buildings. This one took no losses, so that was kind of also nonsense. But, like, a lot of RNG is preventing me from dominating this early game, and it actually is random crits and stuff like that that is preventing me from doing really quite well. over there, that was something I could have noticed, but I was definitely looking at something else at the time. There's mines there, so it's going to be impossible for me to pick up that area. Fortunately for me, though, my guys are limping around and running into landmines still, so when they're rolling around like this, they can actually still do stuff to a certain degree, by which I mean running into landmines. You can see that it's not necessarily even a complete landmine field here, so not necessarily going to stop me too badly. Here you can see, like, Tiger Ace, it requires 800 manpower. It does not require any fuel. Very, very poorly made things, but anyway, I've got my little M5A1 Sherman out here, or not, is this Sherman? I forget the name of this. Stuart, right. But in any event, I'm starting to work on these buildings here that are housing these machine guns and stuff like that. I'm able to move my units around here to try and take out my opponent wherever I can. Able to lob another grenade in here, if I recall. Again, doesn't really do that much damage, but able to sort of do a little bit. And this half-track over here, just very out of position, so it gets destroyed immediately, very easily. Still, though, I mean, like, my opponent is coming out with a lot of troops somehow. Not sure how he always has so much manpower, especially because I keep getting squad wipes. Still, I guess it's because his units are cheaper than mine, so that does sort of make sense to a certain degree.
Rifle squad ready for action.
That guy just barely gets away. Still, as you can see, like, I'm moving around the battlefield and I'm getting most of it under my control most of the time. Like, my opponent's able to sort of get these areas and get pushed back much faster than I am. So, theoretically, I should be ahead here, but he's just really doing something to always be ahead of me, which is really weird. Little Stuart here is doing an okay job, but then gets wiped out by this anti-tank.
Forces just destroyed one of our light tanks.
Light tanks don't necessarily last all that long. At this point in time, though, it's doing it's pretty rough for me. I've got my major on the field, which is a bit unfortunate because it is very expensive. More engineers over here. I think I actually am forgetting about the mines at this point in time, so I think I run right into them, but I don't know why my units end up deciding to run into the more mines. Like, they're standing here, they're fine. They're not going to run into more mines if they just stay still, but I think they do. Either way. Actually, no, they're fine, so. In any event, though, we're pushing back, and this is sort of that back and forth that tends to happen when both sides just build a lot of infantry, but my opponent seems to be getting a lot of these units wiped out and seems to still have plenty of manpower. I'm floating a lot more of it right now, though, but there's not as much that I can really do about it. I mean, I can't spend it on too many more riflemen. I've already got 5 on the field. So I kind of have to wait for vehicles. My opponent doesn't really have to wait for vehicles, because, you know, he's got plenty of things that he has to build, I guess is why, but once again, grenades into buildings. This one, he gets away just barely. More of these guys, they're on the road, so they get taken up pretty easily. And we're able to run in here pretty easily. This machine gun, however, is going to be positioned very well and is going to stop us from advancing properly through this area. It's a bit of a shame that I didn't manage to get that hit there, but not sure how I lost infantry there, really. These guys shouldn't have been able to pick them off on the move like that, but, well, maybe because my guys were on the road, but either way, Sherman medium tank. This is about the best I'm going to get in this game as far as units and armor. Once again, interested in trying to wipe out these machine guns nests that are just all over the place. He's got an anti-tank gun coming in, however.
We're losing a capture point.
Yeah, so he's got that there. I'm forced to back off with my tank. Not as much momentum as I really would have liked from that push, but once again, healing back up with my units. Pushing back around, up around here, but my opponent is getting a lot of troops, so it's impossible for me at this point in time to really decisively do anything to my opponent, really. Over here, he's got just engineers here. They managed to kill one of my guys, so it's a 1-for-1 exchange with engineers, which should not happen against riflemen, but God. It's just so many things happen that really sort of swing very minor encounters in my opponent's favor. Again, a machine gun sort of located on the streets. We're able to sort of get some riflemen over here. And his thing is out of position, so he can't really shoot at me. The one good thing is that my opponent is forced to use a lot of his munitions up on, like, anti-tank rifle grenades, or whatever you want to call them. So there is that going for me. It's just that my opponent at this point in time is not really interested in any of that sort of stuff, because he's now got enough for a Panzer IV pretty soon, which is a lot better than a Sherman. In fact, I would argue it's probably better than 2 Shermans, but I did not think that my opponent had been getting enough gas this game to actually get one already. But turns out he does actually have enough gas to get one pretty early. Still, 2 Shermans on the field is not a bad thing. Here we lose our engine yet again, and that's going to keep us in range of this anti-tank gun for too long, so we're going to lose that tank. This tank is going to get behind his anti-tank gun, which means that we're in a good position. However, he's going to damage our engine on this one, and now that he's got a Panzer IV, there's nothing I can really do, and I get wiped out here. You're going to notice in a couple of encounters that I'm going to hit their guys with my anti-tank grenades. It's not actually going to do anything to him. For some reason, I just don't disable his engine, which is the common critical that you get for those sort of attacks. Fortunately, I've got plenty of infantry with anti-tank weaponry. They're spazzing out just a little bit, but we're going to be able to push back. And like, the luck factor in this game is actually quite high, and I'm not talking about just in this match in particular. There are some matches where I was lucky, and that helped me, that contributed greatly to me winning. And, like, there are a lot of mechanics in this game that will lead to a victory or a defeat. It's just that with the Americans in particular, you have to point it out because it's not necessarily that evident. It's sort of those things that happen fairly early on. It's not the things that happen, like, late on, where you get a lucky hit on in a big critical tank battle. It's usually stuff that culminates to that point where one of your opponents could get to a big tank battle. Especially the German faction. If they can get to that big tank army, then they're pretty much unstoppable. They are pretty much going to just wallop everybody. My opponent at this point in time hasn't been losing any manpower from anything, so he's just been able to bring his army up into this big sort of lump or what have you, and has basically not spent any manpower on anything. Wiped out another squad. He's got a machine gun in here. Would be able to eventually probably throw another grenade at it, but he does manage to chase me away because there's the Panzer IV there. Anyway, I've actually shot a couple anti-tank rifle grenades, but they haven't actually done anything in this game. Yeah, my opponent at this point in time, he has called in his Tiger Ace. Again, all it costs is manpower, so the fact that he doesn't have as much gas as me doesn't matter. He just gets it. And those things are brutal. One of the interesting things is I have hit this with a bunch of anti-tank rifle grenades. It hasn't lost its engine. It just does not give a damn. So, at this point in time, I am completely screwed. There isn't really anything in the American arsenal that can properly challenge something like a Tiger Ace. The Tiger Ace is just ridiculously powerful. I've built a couple 57mm anti-tank, but these are going to be completely ineffective against our opponents. And once these troops get forced back and I forget to retreat with these things, I'm basically out of the game. So that is... oh, those actually get wiped out, but... at this point in time, like, I forget to pull these back, so he's able to flank with the tanks, which is going to completely wipe them out, because for some reason they won't turn around. Like, you can see my guys sort of, like, lifting it, and then they just drop it again, so I must have mismanaged them somehow, but they're all dead pretty badly. And he does take the time to actually blow them up, which is an important thing to do if you're doing this sort of armor push. But in any event, at this point in time, I can't really do anything at all. I'm just sort of throwing in something, and I hit it with another rifle grenade, but it didn't do the engine hit. I'm wondering actually if the American rifle grenades don't do engine hits. That's possible, actually. I haven't actually checked that. I thought everyone was supposed to be sort of similar in that regard, but like the Panzerfaust and the anti-tank grenades have a high chance usually of doing that. I don't know if the anti-tank rifle grenade does the same thing. I should actually check that. In any event, though, at this point in time, I'm completely screwed. I'm throwing in my infantry with their bazookas as a sort of a last hurrah to try and see if I can do something, but you're going to see, like, rear armor hits with the bazooka. Didn't even scratch the paint job, basically. This thing is just unstoppable, so... And it starts at 3 stars, so... It is as veteran as it's going to get. That's the one saving grace, is that if you're against one, it's not going to get any better than it already is. In any event, at this point in time, I got up my Jackson, but, like, I've actually seen a Jackson go up against a Tiger Ace. The Tiger Ace doesn't take any damage from the Jackson Tank Destroyer either. Like, these things, you need something like an ISU-152 to really deal any damage to them. So, again, like, that problem is that later game. Like, I mismanaged some stuff. If I had kept these anti-tank guns better protected, I might have been able to sort of hold up somewhere, but the problem is that this map is very big and open. The only way I realistically could have tried to fight his armor is with my own armor, and I just don't have it as the American faction. All I've got is the Jackson Tank Destroyers and the Shermans, and they can't hold the line against those kinds of tanks. Even if I had managed them perfectly, they just lose upright, and it's really sort of a shame as far as that goes, but anyway, I hope you found this enjoyable, and of course, as always, I hope to see you all next time.